Tonight we have a very special guest, and he is here for a very serious reason.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox joins us in studio tonight to discuss with Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan how the state is handling the drought, a big task to take on. Allison and Governor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
It's great to be with you, Allison.
So we're on the green screen right now, looking at the drought monitor here across the region, zooming into Utah right now, and it's not a good situation. We're in the middle of the worst drought that we've ever seen here in Utah.
We are. I've always wanted to do this, but 100% of the state of Utah is in drought right now. And you'll notice the light red area and the dark red area. So that's extreme drought is the light red area. 90% of the state is in extreme drought. And then we have exceptional drought, which is the darker red area. This is the worst water year we've had in the history of our state.
Yes, last year was our driest year here in Utah. 2020 was the warmest on record for the globe. It tied for the warmest with 2016. So this is part of a bigger trend. We are warming here in Utah. Utah is one of the top 5 fastest growing states for our warming trend. And so we have risen 3 degrees since 1970. The stats just show, paints a very dire picture here in Utah. As our leader, arguably the most powerful person in Utah, when you hear this and you know that you can help make change, what do you think?
Well, we're also the fastest growing state in the nation, right? So we have more population growth over the past 10 years than any other state. And so those two things, the warming nature of the climate, the population growth, and then getting less water, that's a recipe for problem, right?
Yeah.
So we have to do better. We have to conserve water better. That's something we can improve on. And so we're asking Utahns, look, the Great Salt Lake is at its 5 inches away from its lowest level ever recorded. Lake Powell at its lowest level ever recorded. And we're really worried about having enough to get through this summer and into next year. So we need people to conserve now. And we need, as a state, to make policy changes to be able to store more water and to conserve more water going forward.
Yes, absolutely. And these climate headlines, the warming trend that we're in right now is unprecedented in millennia. And so this is something that 97% of climate scientists agree that this is extremely likely caused by humans. And with this changing climate, that only worsens our drought, because if you're warmer, you dry out faster. The land dries out faster. And so that leads me into our first viewer question. This one's from Nellie. Nellie wants to know, what is Utah's strategy to work with other states to address climate change?
Yeah, so some announcements today. Representative John Curtis from Utah talked about a climate caucus, a Republican climate caucus that are going to be working on these issues. We meet with other governors. I meet regularly with them. We just had some meetings with the governor of Wyoming talking about some changes to energy, which is a really big deal. So a couple things that need to happen. New energy sources in our state, and we have solar projects, wind projects, we have geothermal projects, the largest in the world geothermal project that's starting right now. Nuclear is an option that we've been talking about, and then carbon capture to reduce the carbon output from the traditional energy sources that we have right now. So those are things that we can all work on, but we also need every person, 3 million Utahns, if they make one decision a day, that's 3 million decisions that can help. Driving less, buying electric vehicles, all of those things that can help with our particulate output.
Absolutely.
And then cutting down on our water usage. Those two things are going to help future generations.
Yes, and you have a farming background, so this next viewer question I have for you. This one came in from Blake, I believe. Yes, Blake. What is being done to conserve Utah's agriculture water use?
Well, so nobody has cut back more than our farmers right now. Most of them have cut back at least 30%. On my farm, we're at about 70% that we've reduced our water usage. We have dozens of acres that are not being farmed at all this year because of the drought. So farmers have cut back significantly. We also have technology that is changing the way that we farm. You'll notice those pivot irrigation systems that move themselves. My kids really wish we had those, and we'll get there. They use much less water. They're much more efficient. And there's some new technology happening in agriculture right now. Growing food for cattle, actually growing them indoors under lights takes less land and uses a fraction of the water, about 5% that you would normally use to grow the same amount of food.
Wow. Okay. Quickly, another question that we have for you: why are we letting our population grow without a plan for water?
Well, we do have a plan for water, and that's important. So we work with our water districts on this. They have a 30-year plan that they put out a couple years ago, working on additional water sources and conservation. However, what I believe we need to change is I believe we need to increase the plan for conservation. We had a 25% goal by 2025 to cut usage. I think we need to do much more than that. And so what we're going to be proposing to the legislature are big, bold initiatives to remove unnecessary grasses. So think about park strips. People water the sidewalk next to a Burger King or something. It makes absolutely no sense to have those park strips here. Incentivizing people who want to remove sod and put in xeriscaping, low water usage, giving those types of incentives to change. Those are the things that we need to do, and the legislature is going to get on board to help us.
Okay, well, that wraps up our final question that we had, which was, will there be any incentivizing xeriscaping, local scaping, which is an incredible website and resource here in Utah as well. So
the answer is yes. We're going to get that done. There are some in some localities, but we need this to be a statewide project.
Absolutely. One last pitch for Utahns. How can they get more information?
Well, there are lots of ways to get more information. I'm going to give you more information right now. We have all these websites that you can see. slowtheflow.com is a great one. There are so many other websites to do this. Last thing I want to say is just please be careful with fire. It's so dry out there. Fireworks, put the personal fireworks away, save them for next year. Just be extra careful this year.
It sounds like you're on top of this, and I know that a lot of Utahns are really concerned too. So thank you so much for joining us and taking this seriously.
Thank you, Allison.